Hello, and welcome to Elliot&English. My name is Elliot, and this will be a series of English language instructional videos specifically for Spanish speakers. We are going to look at some of the most common mistakes made by Spanish speakers when they are speaking English. And it doesn't matter if you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced speaker, I'm sure you are making some of these mistakes. And if you can correct these simple mistakes, it's going to help you sound much more fluent and professional. So, let's get started with the first video. Okay, on to our first mistake. This is a common question I would ask my students in class. I might ask them, "What did you do last weekend?" And a common response that I get might be something like, "Last weekend I shared with my family." Okay, so what is the problem with this sentence? I shared with my family. Can you see the mistake? The problem here is with the verb share. In English, we can't share time. We can share things, we could share food or information, but not time. We need a different verb. Any idea what the correct verb might be? The verb for time in English we need is spend, to spend time. So the past tense would be, I spent time with my family. So please, never say I shared time. Never say I shared with my family. We need to say I spent time with my family. Let's look at another common mistake. A question I would ask my students is, where did you have lunch yesterday? And a typical response could be something like, I took lunch at a friend's house. Now, can you see the mistake? What is the problem here? Remember, in English, we can't take food. Not like in Spanish. We can't tomar comida. We can take a bus in English, tomar un bus, but we can't use tomar for food or for drink. We need a different verb for this sentence. So, in English, we have two options. We could use the verb to eat is one option. So in past tense, we could say, I ate lunch at a friend's house. And another option we have is the verb have. We could say, I had lunch at a friend's house. This also applies to drinks. It's wrong to say, I took a coffee. You can never say took for a drink. You can say, I drank a coffee. Or, again, you could use the verb have. I had a coffee. Remember, never say I took lunch or I took a coffee. Always use eat or have. Okay, the next mistake is very similar to the last one, also related to food. A question I could ask my students is, what did you have for lunch yesterday? And sometimes a common response that I get is, I had meat for lunch. Now, it might not be totally incorrect to say I had meat for lunch, but it does sound a little strange. It's probably not something a native speaker would say. So what is the problem? Can you see the problem with the sentence, I had meat for lunch? Okay, the problem is with the word meat. What does that word mean? In English, meat is a word that refers to any food from an animal. So, fish is a meat, pork is a meat, chicken is a meat, and beef is a meat. I think the mistake is that people say they had meat when they really want to say they had beef. So remember, if you're talking about meat from a cow, the word in English is beef. So you could say, yesterday I had beef for lunch. But this still sounds a bit strange as an answer. I think it's much more common in English to be more specific, to say something like, I had a steak for lunch, or I had a hamburger for lunch, or I had ground beef for lunch. Usually we use a more specific food than just saying beef. So remember, never say I had meat for lunch. It's better to say something like, I had a steak. This concludes the first video of the most common mistakes that Spanish speakers make while speaking English. I hope you learned something, and please leave me a comment if you have been making any of these mistakes. I'll see you next time.